My name is Ankur Shah Delight, and I am the fastest man alive. Wrong intro. Sorry. My name is Ankur Shah Delight, and I'm going to tell you how to win our democracy. Not just the elections, but the democracy. A few weeks ago, I was invited to give a speech at a political rally. I had never done anything like that before. So I immediately came up with some great excuses as to why I shouldn't do it. I didn't want to be at a partisan political event. I wasn't going to tell the attendees something they wanted to hear, and I'd never done anything like that before. After every excuse, the organizer smiled sweetly at me and said something disarming and charming like, "Oh, you'll be just perfect." So eventually I realized it was all just the fear talking, and I had to do it because the only way out is through, right? Anyhow, I did it. And then afterwards, when it had gone really well and 200 to 300 people were closely following what I was saying, even though it wasn't what most of them showed up to hear, it was intellectually difficult to follow, and there were all kinds of people honking horns and revving engines as they drove by the rally. I was just suffused with this unreasonably warm bliss, and I had a hard time holding a conversation, processing information, or remembering anything. Anyhow, a number of people requested the text of the speech, which I posted on my blog, ankurDelight.com, and this is the episode where I get to read it through. So, enjoy. Good afternoon. My name is Ankur Shah, and I am a conflict mediator. I mediate conflicts at work, at school, in relationships, and in society as a whole. So today I want to share what these conflicts have taught me about winning. I want to talk about how we, every person who is here, who is showing up for democracy in this way, can truly win going forward. In order to do that, I'm going to define first what I mean by winning and losing, and then I'm going to get to the roadblock that, in my mind, is getting in our way. And finally, I will show you how to destroy that roadblock with a single pearl of wisdom, including some really concrete guidelines based on 2,200 years of human experience in conflict resolution.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about winning. Winning outcomes generally require either luck or a winning strategy or both. Since I don't know anything about luck, besides having received a lot of it over the years, I'm going to focus on strategy, winning strategy. A winning strategy not just for you or me, but for the nation, for everybody. So by winning strategy, I don't just mean winning the presidential election in November or all the other elections that are very important and that will happen that day. I mean something much bigger than even that. I see two major possibilities for the presidential election next month. Either there is a clear uncontested winner or there is not. If there is a clear uncontested winner, which is what you're used to in this country, then there's usually a smooth and peaceful transition of power. That's the happy case. But even in the happy case, a huge amount of people in this country will feel unrepresented, distrustful, unconfident, cynical, and excluded when they look at their government. Probably between 30 to 50% of voters are going to feel that way, depending on who wins in this scenario, and a lot more people who are politically aware, but not voters. So that's not winning as a nation. Unfortunately, if there's not a clear and uncontested winner, this picture looks much worse. In addition to feeling unrepresented, distrustful, unconfident, cynical, and excluded, all the same stuff as before, the majority of people in this country will also feel tense, scared for their safety and their children's safety, and anxious about their future with the fear of violence. And a small minority of conflict entrepreneurs will be absolutely elated, which is definitely not winning as a nation. In fact, either of these outcomes goes down as a major loss in my book. And that's because we are at the limit of where voting can take us. When the nation is deeply divided on almost every major issue, like the importance of supporting foreign wars to our own national security, or the role of immigration in our economy's health, or the rights of police officers versus the rights of people they suspect of criminal activity, or the role of regulation and public spending in a thriving economy, or the rights of mothers, fetuses, children, embryos, prisoners, or our ethical obligations to future generations of humans, or our ethical obligations to salmon or other species. When we're divided on all those things and only 51% of voters feel represented, we have a major problem. Or, as in the case of the 2016 election, when only 46% of voters were represented. Or in the case of the 1992 election, when only 43% of voters were represented. So I mention all this to sketch out the case that things are not just going to get better on their own. That this polarization, discomfort, and enmity we're all experiencing is not just an anomaly or based around a couple of controversial political figures. This is not a temporary confusion or setback. We live in the most diverse nation state that has ever existed, and it is our job to make it a community. Hundreds of millions of people who have never met, think they don't look anything like each other, have totally different religious beliefs and practices, speak different languages, and have no concept of what each other's lives are like. Whereas the first nation states in Europe, 200 to 400 years ago, were largely monocultural. Same religion, same economic situation, same language families. For better or worse, that's not our project here, and that was never our project here. As an Indian American who grew up atheist in rural America, I actually have some very strange sympathies with the global right-wing movement to make the imperial powers white again, because it would be better in some ways. Making national level decisions would be way easier if we all spoke the same language, had the same cultural background, ate the same food, had children at the same time, had the same level of education, practiced the same religion, worked in the same factory, and got paid the same. But that was never the project of this country. From the moment the diverse group of European misfits and refugees touched down here and invaded this continent, they were moving in the opposite direction. They were moving towards a diverse, chaotic future that would be very difficult to govern. And, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived. And now you're like, wait, where's the message of hope? Where's the winning strategy? It is coming. Patience. First, I need to distill the key roadblock we need to deal with. To win as a nation, every person who feels invested in this country's future needs to feel that their perspective was heard, that it matters, that their knowledge and passion has been included in the process. The good news is we don't have to do what they think is right. I don't need you to agree with me to feel heard. I just need you to understand what I want and why I want it. So it should be easy. But feeling heard is fundamentally incompatible with the way most of our conversations are structured, which is implicitly about a very narrow definition of winning. So let's think back to the debate. Did anybody say, I heard you advocate for this, that, and the other thing, and I see that's because you really value this, that, and the other thing over here, and you think that's the best way of achieving it. However, da-da-da-da-da. No, there was nothing like that. It was all, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm louder, I have more facts, your sources are lame, I'm not going to listen. And what's fundamentally going on below the argument in that kind of conversation is a pushing away, a separation, an othering. You're the enemy. I'm not like you. We're different. That's the roadblock. That's it. But what's wonderful and makes this way easier is that we know how to get over that block because we've done it many times before. 500 years ago, when modern racism was invented to bring back slavery, we were othering by race and religion and ethnicity. 100 years ago, we were still othering based on gender. 20 years ago, if you can believe it, we were still othering based on sexual preference. Most of us, in this crowd I'm speaking to, are past that now. Congratulations. That is huge progress. And many of you have worked hard on getting yourself and our society over those blocks. So that's wonderful. And because you know how to do this, there's still one more little step to go. One more little difference to get comfortable with, which is such an uncomfortable difference. Beliefs. opinions, positions. How is it possible that you and I can both be good, honorable, caring people with values, and yet we totally disagree about immigration or Black Lives Matter or Gaza or Ukraine? Well, it's not possible. So I'm good and you're bad, or you're an idiot, or you're insane. But at the least, I know that we are not the same. And that is the challenge for this crowd. Every crowd has its own challenges, preventing us from a national sense of inclusion and participation, which is winning as a nation. So to review, we defined what winning means, which in my book is more than just a bunch of elections, no matter how important they are. It's about a cohesive relationship as a nation, a community. And we talked about what losing looks like, and I tried to show that no matter who wins, we're actually all losing. And then we just identified this roadblock, this separation, which is the tension between remembering our shared humanity when somebody has an opposite and often threatening belief. And now we'll get to the solution. But before I do, I want to make it clear how radical and difficult this proposition is, even for me. I'm saying that if I come across a white nationalist who thinks that everybody who looks like me should be deported or sent back to some place we've never been, I will be losing if I walk away thinking of that person as stupid or insane or immoral. I will be losing. So, now I'm going to tell you the trick. And the trick is to see the conflict as a gift. If I can see that conversation as the gift that has the potential to make me more whole, then I win. And I mean that on the internal level of wholeness, and the wholeness of our relationship between the two of us, and whole as a society. All three levels. This person, this white nationalist, this protester, this uncle at Thanksgiving, person in the wrong colored hat or yard sign, is presenting me with a gift. And the challenge, of course, is to unwrap that gift. It's a challenge of getting beyond our own physiological triggers in that moment. A challenge of getting beyond our own judgments and media diet. It's an intellectual challenge to hold the paradox of being completely opposed to the opinion and not writing off the opiner. Okay, so it's more than one challenge. It's a lot of challenges. And there's a lot we can say about this. There's whole books and courses and trainings, some of which I've even developed to address this challenge. But I promised you a pearl of insight, and that's what I'm going to deliver. And here it is. Whatever people say about an issue, what they are really saying is, I care. That's all you know, and that's all you need to remember. They care. To know more, to know something of substance that actually acquaints you with their reality, you need to stop talking about the issues with that person and start talking underneath the issues. What is important about that issue to the person in front of you? What does it mean to them? Because it's not about immigration or Ukraine. It's about them. They're afraid of something. They yearn for something. They care about something. They had some transformative or traumatic experience. They want something that is very personally about them. And when you can get to that nugget of insight, you suddenly see, oh, if I had had that string of experiences, I would probably agree with them. And then at that moment, the heavens have parted, the lightning has descended, and you have received the gift. Because you can no longer judge, diagnose, or insult that person. You can't do that anymore because they have become a part of you. You've understood their experience and expanded your own consciousness, your own personhood, to include them. And that is what true victory looks like. It's also very hard. It's very challenging. It's not natural. It's not how we grew up doing it. And there's ways to make it less challenging. And of course, I'm here to follow up with any of you on how to do that. But today, right now, to close our time together, I just want to share a little bit of 2,200-year-old wisdom to support you in confronting these challenges. So I'm going to give you this talisman, these 3 words. And these are the words of Krishna, who is one of the gods, to a guy named Arjun, who is one of the princes. And basically, Arjun is very confused. He discovers he has one of the gods on his car, and he's asking him questions. And Krishna is telling him how to be a baller, how to be a true incarnation of duty and righteousness and all the good things that all the people have always wanted to be, continue to want to be. And Krishna delivers. He gives him a list, long list, 24 virtues. But the summary from one of my teachers, Vinova Bhave, is actually really simple. It's just 3. And so that's the talisman. It's just these 3 things. And the summary is this. The first thing you need is courage, fearlessness. You've got to psych yourself up to have the hard conversations and to hold the energy. Because it's easy to explode in anger or insults or judgments or run away or avoid or drink or whatever. It's easy to do all that. What's hard is to be in the moment in that confrontation and hold the energy. That takes courage. So the first thing is courage. The next thing you need, which are in fact the next 22 things, the way Krishna tells it, but we're going to summarize, is love, compassion, empathy, agape in Greek, ahimsa in Sanskrit. Basically, unconditional love, unconditional positive regard. You have to get in touch with the superpower we all have of loving the essence of the being in front of you, the way Jesus and Gandhi talked about and demonstrated, instead of imprisoning them in their own actions or beliefs. Right? Loving the person, not their actions, not their beliefs, but loving the essence of the person. We'll call that love. So courage, love. And the last thing we need is humility. So courage is in the advance guard and humility brings up the rear. The memory that I do not now have, and I will never have, the entire truth of the human experience. Because if I think my understanding is perfect, it will be very difficult to see that conflict as a gift. Seeing the conflict as a gift means acknowledging that my perspective is incomplete and I desperately need the information in that conflict to be whole again. So there you go. A little bit of ancient wisdom, courage, love, and humility. That talisman, those 3 virtues, will help you see every conflict, every interaction, every conversation, not as an annoyance or a threat, but as a gift. And that, my friends, is our winning strategy as a nation.